Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this presentation and discussion about our RedView CRM product that sits alongside Leap. So just some introductions. I'm actually Stephen Butler, not Dominic Tonner. Dominic's, I think, unable to make it tonight, but I'm the CEO and the product manager for RedView. So I'll be taking you through the details of the product tonight. So our agenda is basically a short introduction. I'll then talk about how the product manages and captures new inquiries. We'll go through some of the Outlook integration pieces, show you how a matter can be created in Leap from the information captured within RedView, look at the clients and contact information and putting non-Leap contacts into our database, contact activity and tracking reminders and follow-ups there, creating marketing lists and the events and campaigns functionality. So first, a little bit of a background. Our product's based in Australia. We've been a Leap partner for over 13 years now, working in a number of different ways. Most recently, or over the last 7 years, indeed, we've built a range of products that integrate with the Leap product using their API. And today we have about 130 Leap clients using approximately 180 of our products around the world. The products that we have built with Leap are our CRM tool, which we'll talk about today. We have then a business information and management information solution, a client portal tool, some task management tools, and a phone message management tool. So talking about the CRM to start off with. So fundamentally, the product has two different aspects to it. The first is about inquiry or lead management. So getting the information into the database, managing it through the quote sales process, and then giving you some analytics to see what's going on and converting the information into matters within Leap. The second aspect is about client contact and referrer management. So using the Leap information to be able to access data, provide you with more information, build marketing lists, manage events and campaigns, and the like. A key part of the product these days is integration with Outlook, and we've now increasingly putting more AI-driven functionality into the software. So the working environment with all of our tools is a RedView portal, the Outlook integration aspects and doing things from Outlook, and then a smartphone, and we're sitting alongside Leap to do that. We then use our data to provide partners and management with oversight of what's happening with the business. And then our Client Connect tool allows clients to access information. So it's some numbers in terms of the CRM product. We released the product in September 2020, just in the middle of COVID. Currently, we have 72 clients worldwide, mainly in Australia and the UK, but a couple of clients in the US and Canada. In terms of the UK market, I think we have about 28 clients there now. Our smallest client is in fact a sole practitioner, where they were keen to get their leads tracked into a database rather than using Excel. And then our largest client is 220 people who are tracking around 2,500 to 3,000 new inquiries coming in every month. The software itself is fully cloud-based, sits alongside Leap, as I say. But since it's cloud-based, some of the numbers that I can give you since 1st of January 2024, there's been 850 active users worldwide. They've captured 121,000 inquiries into our database by the various means. With our website API, a number of clients have incorporated that into their website, and 9,000 odd inquiries have been captured from data entered by the person on the client's website. And then there's been 500,000 follow-up activities, and over 12,000 matters have been created by all clients into Leap using the data captured within RedView. So in terms of the product, it has quite an extensive range of functionality now. So we now offer different editions depending upon your need and with different price points. For the smaller firms and firms that just have a departmental marketing requirement, we have our starter edition, and that allows you to grow into the full lead management edition, which is where the lawyers and partners may be involved in the sales process. On the contact management side, we then have the marketing list edition, which with Leap clients, we often see a requirement to get information out of the Leap card database or extend it with different qualifications and the like, and our marketing list edition will do that. A low-cost entry point. Then moving into the full contact management system, and both of the tools together become the enterprise edition. We then have some optional modules. We've built functionality now to create custom forms and fields and forms to capture extra data that's not within the basics of our product. As I said, we're looking at doing more and more AI stuff to help with the data entry. And we've built some digital tracking tools for tracking the UTM codes and the like that are used by digital marketing people. So with that, let's have a look at the software. So here we are running the tool. It's a browser-based tool. As I say, you can run it anywhere as long as you have an internet connection. It's fully cloud-enabled solution. There are different areas of functionality available to the user. In this instance, this user has access to all areas of the system, but individual users can be given different security profiles that allow them to do different things, and you can in fact secure down to them only seeing certain data points depending upon whether they're a member of a team or you only want them to see their own data. What I'm starting with here is the inquiries list. So this is all of the current inquiries that we have in the database. In fact, it's not all, it's all of the open inquiries that belong to me, John CRM, as the user. If I have permission, I'm allowed to look at all inquiries. So simply turning off my inquiries here, and you'll be able to see all of the inquiries that are in the database that are currently open. We can look at them by status if we want. So we can see there's a lot unassigned and a lot following up and the like. Capturing inquiries happens in a number of ways. The basic way is to add using the form that's provided in the database. So this is a fixed layout with basic details. So here we can enter the details about the person, and we can enter contact details. So most typically you want to be capturing the email address, given the way that people interact with people these days. That's a very important piece of information. If the email address is in fact something that already exists either within the Leap card database or the RedView database, inquiries database, then a warning will be given telling you here what that is. So we can see now that there's actually a card within Leap with the same email address, and there's actually an inquiry there with the same email address as well. So I'll just change that. Now I can enter the details, the phone number, the mobile phone number. Here we then have a source, so where the lead has come from. And this is a user-defined list, so you can set it up as you desire. You can flag certain sources to look at Leap cards. So here I've set up the referral source, and by selecting now, we'll see an extra field, the contact field, and by selecting a card, we can now pick a card from the Leap card list, which then when we create the matter, will go back into Leap as a referrer record, but also feeds into our referrers module in terms of providing analysis there. There's other pieces of information that can be captured. You then enter the nature of the inquiry. And the last piece of item to be captured is the type of work. So once more, this is a user-defined list. So I've set up as a general commercial firm, but if it's a more boutique employment specialist or a family lawyer or something like that, you can set to find the list here with the type of work that you want to analyze, and this drives a whole lot of pieces of information. So the other thing, to show you some functionality in terms of the advanced inquiries functionality, if I select the family area of law here, what we'll see is that I've set up a separate set of questions and my own custom form to capture some more information about the matter. So here, this has been set up specifically for the family type of law. I have another one for TPD here. And these forms are set up exactly as you want. So you define the labels, the nature of the field, and what type of field it is. You can also then set instructions or help. So the idea being that a less qualified person can deal with the inquiry upfront rather than having to get a lawyer involved straight away. So that's one way of capturing an inquiry. So the first, that's now captured into the database, and we have it now ready to be processed and assigned and the like. Another way of capturing is by using the API on the website. So here what I have set up is a form. The API allows you to connect to your existing forms. It's not a fixed form. So if you're capturing different data, then the API can be used to capture that information into the database. And you can in fact add some of the custom fields there as well. So what's happened now is an inquirer has come through to the website and filled some details in. So now if I go back to the database, what we'll see within the inquiry list now is a new record that's been created automatically by the API. So there it is there. It's tracking, saying that it's come through the website and it's currently unassigned to anyone. So the basic data has been captured. The other automation factors that have come into play here are within Outlook. So if I'll show you within Outlook anyway. So if I go into the notifications area, which is where we've got the emails directed to in this particular instance, what we can see is there's the inquiry that's come through. The RedView has looked at a rule that you've set up within the system to direct the notification of the inquiry to either a person or a team, and that can depend upon the type of work. And what you see here is that this is what's called an actionable message in Office 365. So we can, in fact, update the data from within the system. So we can now select from the CRM user list and fill that information in and update the data without leaving Outlook. We then have another automation that's come into play where an automatic acknowledgement email template has been set up, and that's then merged with the inquiry to automatically send something back to the person who's put something into the website. And that's a tailored response. So we've got the person's name, we know the area of law, we can have different templates depending upon the area of law involved. You can include links and images to create quite professional looking emails. While we're here in Outlook, what I'll also show you is another way of capturing a new inquiry. So we will have a number of emails that have been forwarded through. So here, this is an example of a message that has come from a reception service. Best Reception is one that we see. The other one that seems very popular in the UK is Moneypenny. So what we can do here is select our Outlook add-in up the top, and we select that this is a new inquiry with full, we're capturing all of the details. There's a short version of the add-in as well. So here, what's happening is that it's going to look at the email and extract information out of the email to fill in the form that I showed you before without having to rekey stuff. So in this instance, the first thing it's doing is looking at the email header. So it's gone through and gotten my name and my email address and put the body of the email into the inquiry details. But in this particular case, what we're seeing is that the actual details of the inquiry is within the body of the email itself. So this is where we're now starting to use AI to help that process along. So here, by selecting the AI scan button, what that will do is look through the body of the email and then fill in who the inquiry is and give you a summary of what the inquiry is. And we can now use that to add the inquiry in. So rather than having to retype or cut and paste from an email to get the information in, the AI tool tries to fill in as best it can the details for you. We then save that away. I'm sorry, we need to give it an area of law to start off with. So we'll say it's criminal, and we'll also assign it to Dominic, and we save that away. And that's then logged into the database. So if we now go back and look at the database and refresh here, we can see the different inquiries that are coming through. So there's one that's just been captured. So we've had this one here just entered, this one captured from the API, and this one entered in via the Outlook add-in. So here now what we can do is extra things. So within the portal itself, if we're processing an inquiry here, you keep the details of the activity is all in the one place. But the other things that we could do now is set up template emails that are, you use often to respond to a client. So we can say, here's a fee estimate email that we've set up as a template. And what it will do is go through and grab the details from the inquiry, get the template, merge it in. You can then drop attachments here before you send it. And in fact, templates can also include attachments by default. So if there's agreements or terms and conditions documents that you want to send to people, then you can have them as part of the template attachment. We now send that away, and that's going to send the email to the person. The other functionality that's available within this area of the product as well is the ability to book a meeting with the inquirer. So we can select here to book a meeting, and that will then ask you for the who's the meeting with, the location, and the time and the like, and that will send then the inquirer a calendar invite. It's called an iCalendar invite, so that they can save it into their calendar. We then go through the process of recording the information against the inquiry. At some point in time, what will happen is that you'll then mark it that the client has decided to proceed, or they're not proceeding. If they're not proceeding, then what you're required to do is provide a reason. Once more, a user-defined list. We then can provide some management information back on why people aren't using our services, and work out if there are any trends there. If they're proceeding, what happens is that we mark them as proceeding. We then save that away. That will then put the inquiry into the status of pending matter. Now, pending matter can either you can straight away create the matter in Leap, or you can direct a notification to someone else who's creating the matter. And I didn't point this out at the time, but you can attach documents to the inquiry. You can capture the address, a whole range of information that can be kept together. So now at this stage, what we can do is create a matter. So if I select the Create Matter button, what happens now is I've given a form that's collecting more information that's required for Leap. So I select here, the state and then the matter type, which is pretty much, exactly the same as what you'll see within your Leap system. If, however, you're using recurring matter templates within Leap, then we can also access those, and we can drop down and say, well, it's a criminal law matter, and it will take the recurring matter template and use that to create the matter within Leap. So we then, with all of that processing, what we then do is allow you to give you some analytics back. So here, if I go to the inquiries dashboard, what we'll see is some of the charts that are available, and this is a configurable chart, a dashboard, sorry. So here we have something that's monitoring the health of the inquiries. Are things being assigned? Are they being followed up? Who are the worst offenders at not following up? This area here is using our events and campaigns functionality, so we can then see what's coming from events and what's not. Here is the details of the inquiries coming in, so we can see trends, what our conversion rates are, who are the best converters. then where inquiries are coming from, what type of work is coming in. And this one's important because we're linking to the matter in Leap. We can actually see the billing that's coming through. So we can see, in example, the last 12 months that the website has generated £139,000 of billings in relation to new inquiries that came through the system and were created or were linked as matters within Leap. We then can see how long it's taking people to follow up, and there's functionality to have estimated fees recorded against an inquiry, and that allows us to get an idea of what the pipeline is of open inquiries that are sitting in the database, as at today, and then make some sense as to what's likely to occur. So that's the management of new inquiries through the system. What I'll now do is take you through to look at clients and contacts and how we manage those processes within the system. So here, what we have is a list of clients and contacts. So the basis is that we're getting the Leap card information and bringing that across and synchronizing that typically every 10 minutes. So what you're seeing here is the contact details that are coming through from Leap. But if we look at a new, I'll find an existing inquiry that's got some data against it. So if we look at Peter McGregor here, what we can see, if I go into the edit function and we say edit, what we can see here is we've got the contact details that have come through from Leap. We have the ability to add the person's picture in. We've allowed some extra information to give some background on the person. So, anything that's important that needs to be known about the person can be kept here. We then have a person who's potentially managing the relationship, whether it's an important contact. The marketing consent flag is actually coming through from Leap. But then the extra capabilities we're adding is the ability to create what we call tags. So these are user-defined attributes that allow you to segment and classify contacts that are used in a number of places, in particular the marketing list function. So here, as an example, I've set up tags, the newsletter tag, personal interest tag, professional. We've got, what sort of client are the important client, what industry they're working in. So you can define any attribute and set of values to the attribute as you please. And then to give you a bit more of an idea of some of the work we're doing with AI is to get some background on the person. What we can do is pass some details to ChatGPT, and that will go and search and try and find out what the person's background is, which will then store against the contact. So that's this particular area is a bit of a work in progress, but that's how we're trying to help collect information more quickly. Now, the other thing that you can do here is if you have contacts and a marketing list that's not held within Leap, and you have a separate set of contacts, maybe a newsletter list that you don't have within Leap, we want them all in the one database. So what we have then is the ability to add contacts and organizations that aren't within Leap. So if I look at this particular one, we can see here that this is data. You're entering in the name and the title and the details, much the same extra details as there are with clients and contacts, but in this instance, it's actually not within the Leap database, so it's giving you the capability to do that. And we have a bulk load facility to be able to bring them in overall. So if I then go to capturing new contacts, so if I select here that with this Alistair is a new person, we want to get him into the database. So our Outlook add-in here, we have a new contact item. So I can now, it will once more look through the email details for the person's name and address, but what we can also scan the email to potentially get the titles and company information out of the inquiry to save it into the database. So we've it's filled in the details here. I'll scan it to capture some extra details, put those in. And I can now say, oh, look, I want this person to get a newsletter. And I know that they're in the gas industry. So I can select that and add the details, and that will be logged into the database, so I can very quickly put a person on our newsletter list. Then going back to the client and contact information, if I now look at information from a different perspective, so if you're dealing with corporate clients, what we can do here is select a corporate client, and we're trying to consolidate the information into a client-centric view rather than a matter-centric view. So we have the contact details that have come through from Leap. We've tagged it with various different things. We then have a dashboard for this client, so we can see, what their billing has been. If I look at, the previous financial year, I can select this option here, how much billing has been all time, what's their current level of matters, what the status of those matters, when have the matters been coming in, what billing has occurred. So we're now taking all of that information from Leap to be able to give you back some intelligence about the client. And then similarly, what you can do here is record activity against the client. So, you can do this within Outlook as well. So what I might want to do is say, well, look, we had a meeting. It was, client feedback. It was a good meeting, and 5-star meeting. I saved that away, and that gets logged as an activity against the client. But what I can also do as well is now set up a follow-up. So I might say call and discuss options. So we can save that against that activity, and that follow-up will then be recorded against the client. But if we now go to the client activity area, what we'll see then, we provide a Kanban board of the follow-ups that you have to perform. So here I've got a list of items. So there's some that doesn't have a due date, which was the one I just put in, which is a shame. We then overdue items and items that are in the future. So what I can do here is make sure that I'm not forgetting to follow up with someone that I'm trying to build a longer term relationship with. So in terms of contacts as well, the other aspect of the Outlook add-in is that we can look at the details of the contact very quickly from within Outlook. So if I say here to select an existing contact, then it will look at the email address and go and search the database to give you the details of that person, just a snapshot of what you've recorded against them. And if they're a client of the firm, it will also show you the matters that are available. In a similar sort of vein, to make the information about contacts available when you're out and about, what we have is a smartphone app where we can select contacts, and I can come into the clients and contact database. I can select that I want to talk to Peter again. And now I've got that same background information that it will catch up to me in a second. That same background information that I showed you through the portal is now available via your smartphone. If you want to call the person, then you can just simply tap on the number and call them. You see you have details of all of the activity that has been recorded against it. If you're out and about and you've had a meeting, so you can then say, well, look, I've had a good meeting, and I'll just record. Pete's really happy with the services that we're providing, and we want to do some more work, so let's keep an eye on it. And that then gets saved back into the database. So we're recording that information. Sorry, it's taking a bit of a while to catch up with me. Recording all of that information in the one database so that you have a good deal of intelligence about the people that you're working with, your targets, clients that you want a relationship with, so that you can bring all of that information together. In the same vein, we have a module for referrers. So we're collecting the information both from RedView and from within Leap. So we have here, if I look at Excel accountants, we can see that we've captured 9 inquiries that they've referred us. They've turned into 7 matters and the like. If I select the details, we go into the area. We've got information coming from Leap. We then have a little referrers dashboard. So it's looking at the Leap information and telling you when the billing has occurred, when the last contact, when the referrals are coming through, what type of work they're referring, and then the average fees that we're getting from the referrals. So we can then have a greater understanding of, who are our good referrers and who are our less good. And equally, then you can record notes of activity against the referrer, and in exactly the same way, set some follow-up so that you can remember to keep in contact and do things with referrers. So that all then brings me now to the marketing list function. So here, what we can do is use information from both RedView and from Leap to create lists of records that you can use from a marketing perspective. So I showed you earlier capturing the newsletter against records. So if I type in newsletter here and now do a selection, what that will do is give me a list of all of the names that have been tagged as having a newsletter. So we go through and get that information, and we can then extract that out into Excel for use with a mailing system. Now, we don't currently integrate with any mailing system. There are quite a lot in the marketplace. We've chosen MailChimp to be our tool. So sometime in the next 3 to 6 months, we'll have an integration with MailChimp. So that export function won't be necessary. It'll just be sending it to MailChimp, and MailChimp will send out the details, and we should be able to acknowledge click-throughs on the way back as well. So I've shown you then the capturing information using tags, but it could be that you're going to visit somewhere, so we can search via the city or the client or contact, and that will then give me a list of all of the people that are within Melbourne. So if I just switch views, we'll see that they've all Melbourne as the address city. We can search by, I might want to see who are our top clients. So tell me all of the clients that we've billed more than £10,000 over the last 12 months. And I will then get a list of clients based upon that criteria. We can look at referrers. So we might want to see our top referrers based upon fees referred. We might look at when we last contacted a referrer. So if it's been longer than 6 months, give me a list of those. Give me all the important referrers that we haven't contacted within 6 months. We can then also look at the Leap Matter information. So here we might want to create a list of our clients that have opened matters in the last 12 months or have closed matters in the last 12 or 6 months. We can search via matter type. So a very common one is, give me all of the people that we've done a will for, but they haven't been active for, say, 700 days. So that will then give us a list of people that we might want to write to say, hey, it's been a while since your will's been done. Maybe your circumstances have changed and it's worth revising your will or looking at revising your will. And the last area with the marketing list functionality is the remarketing to new inquiries. So what we can do here is say, pick only the inquiries that for a particular area of law, for example. So give me all of the criminal inquiries that didn't proceed. And now I will get a list of contacts that is coming from the inquiries database. So trying to provide a tool to get that information out, A, from the Leap cards, B, from contacts that you've entered within your system that's not within Leap, and C, from inquiries coming through. The other aspect that we can do with an inquiry, the marketing list, is create a list of records that we then want to keep as either an event and campaign. Then the event and campaign remembers the marketing list. So if I go to the events and campaigns area, what we can see here is that we have, as an example, where is the big training event? There it is there. So we can send some basic details about it, record, how many inquiries, whether there was a cost, how many people attended, who invited, who responded, and the like. And then if we go into the details of the event, we have the marketing list that we created with all of the people, but now we're marking whether they've accepted, declined, if they made any comments. And each of those activities are then recorded as a note against the contact so that you have a history of the actual activity of working with them. So if one of these turns into an opportunity, then it's simply a matter of selecting the Create Inquiry button, and that will now use the data that we've collected so far and bring that into the inquiries list so it can be managed in the same way as any other inquiry has been captured. So once more, just trying to keep the data entry process as simple as possible, not having to rekey data, and make it easy for the information to be accessible. So I've gone through all of the things that I wanted to go through. It's a pretty packed presentation. I hope not too overwhelming. Unless there are any immediate questions, I'll close off the seminar. We'll send out a recording, and if there are any other questions, you can certainly come back to us and go through it. So with that, thank you very much for your time. Please contact us if there's any questions. Thank you.